I said, I'm single, as a joke, but the twin alien sisters took it seriously. The orbital station Harmony hung like a jewel against the star-speckled void, its rotating rings generating artificial gravity for the hundreds of delegates gathered for humanity's first intergalactic peace summit. Marcus Chin adjusted his formal collar for the 5th time, the fabric feeling restrictive after hours of presentations about proposed trade routes and cultural exchange programs. You look nervous, commented his colleague, Rebecca, as they stood near the observation deck's massive windows. First time meeting non-humans? Marcus laughed, running his hand through his dark hair. That obvious? I've trained for this for years, but actually seeing them. He gestured toward the diverse assembly of beings mingling in the reception hall. It's overwhelming. At least you don't have to worry about accidentally proposing to anyone, Rebecca teased. Remember Ambassador Johnson's disaster with the Proximan delegation? Oh God, the 3-hour ceremony because he accidentally touched their ceremonial crystal. Marcus shook his head, grinning. Well, I'm single and planning to stay that way. Less complicated, especially with all these different species customs to remember. He didn't notice the 2 elegant figures who had paused mid-conversation at a nearby table, their attention suddenly fixed on him. The twin sisters from Corellia Prime exchanged meaningful glances, their violet eyes widening with interest. Zara Lynn, the elder by mere minutes, stood first. Her purple-tinged skin seemed to shimmer under the station's soft lighting as she smoothed down her flowing diplomatic robes. Sister, she murmured to Vexera, did you hear what the human male just declared? Vexera's lips curved into an intrigued smile, her scientific mind already calculating probabilities. A formal announcement of availability at an official gathering. How refreshingly direct for a human. Should we respond according to protocol? Zara Lynn asked, though her tone suggested she'd already decided. It would be rude not to, Vexera replied, standing to join her sister. Marcus was mid-sip of his synthesized coffee when the 2 Corellian women approached. He nearly choked at the sight of them, tall, graceful, with an otherworldly beauty that made his heart skip. Their matching silver hair fell like liquid moonlight past their shoulders. Greetings, Marcus Chen, Zara Lynn said, her voice melodious. We are honored by your declaration. My, what? Marcus blinked in confusion. Your announcement of singular status, Vexera clarified, stepping closer. We wish to formally express our interest in response. Marcus stared at the twin sisters, his mind racing to understand what had just happened. I'm sorry, there must be some misunderstanding. I was just making a joke to my colleague about being single, Zara Lynn finished, her violet eyes studying him with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. In Corellian culture, such a declaration at a formal gathering is considered an invitation for courtship consideration. We understand humans often speak in jest, Vexera added, moving to his other side, effectively flanking him. But we believe there is truth in humor, yes. You are unattached. Well, yes, but. Then there is no misunderstanding, Zara Lynn said simply. We are merely responding to your openness with our own. Rebecca had conveniently disappeared, leaving Marcus alone with the ethereal twins. He should have politely excused himself, explained the cultural miscommunication, but something about their directness and the way they looked at him, not with predatory interest but genuine curiosity, made him pause. Perhaps we could discuss this somewhere more private? Vexera suggested. Your confusion suggests you know little of our customs. Marcus found himself nodding, following them to a quieter alcove overlooking the earth below. The blue marble hung suspended in space, a reminder of how far he'd come from his simple life in San Francisco. On Corellia Prime, Zara Lynn began, settling gracefully onto a cushioned bench, we believe in absolute honesty in matters of attraction. Deception wastes precious time. And time, Vexera said, sitting close enough that Marcus could smell something like jasmine and ozone emanating from her skin, is the most valuable resource in the universe. So you're saying you're both interested in me? Marcus felt absurd even asking. May I? Vexera held out her hand, palm up. Our species has empathic touch. It allows us to share emotions directly. You'll understand better this way. Marcus hesitated, then placed his hand in hers. The moment their skin made contact, warmth flooded through him, not just physical but emotional. He felt her curiosity, her genuine attraction, and underneath it, something like loneliness. The sensation was intimate beyond anything he'd experienced. "We've been traveling for so long," she whispered, her fingers intertwining with his. "Meeting countless beings, but never feeling this." Over the following days, Marcus found himself caught in an extraordinary situation. Both sisters pursued him with a combination of alien directness and surprising tenderness that left him breathless. Zaralyn invited him to dinner in her quarters, where she'd programmed the food synthesizer to create approximations of Karelian cuisine. The dishes glowed faintly, tasting of flavors Marcus had no words for, simultaneously sweet and electric, warming him from within. "Tell me about your work," she said, leaning forward with genuine interest. "Aerospace engineering must be fascinating now that humanity has joined the galactic community." As Marcus explained his designs for new propulsion systems, Zaralyn shared her own experiences negotiating peace treaties between warring systems. Her intelligence matched her beauty, and when she laughed at his joke about quantum mechanics, the sound resonated through him like music. "You're different than I expected," Marcus admitted, the synthetic wine making him bold. "I thought alien diplomats would be cold, calculating. And I thought human engineers would be rigid, unimaginative," she countered, moving closer on the curved sofa. "Perhaps we both enjoy being surprised." The next evening, Vexera showed him her laboratory on the station's research deck. Her enthusiasm was infectious as she demonstrated her work on quantum entanglement communication. "Look," she said, pulling him close to the holographic display. "If we can maintain entanglement across galactic distances, real-time communication becomes possible. No more years-long delays between systems." Her body pressed against his side as she guided his hand through the hologram, manipulating the particle streams. Marcus became hyper-aware of every point of contact, the way her breath caught when their fingers touched. "You understand," she said wonderingly. "Most beings find quantum theory incomprehensible, but you see the beauty in it." "I see beauty in a lot of things lately," Marcus replied, meeting her gaze. The tension that had been building between them finally broke. Vexera reached up, her fingers tracing his jaw before pulling him down into a kiss that was nothing like human kisses. It was electric, literally, tiny sparkles of bioelectric energy passing between them, sharing not just touch but emotion and thought. When they parted, Marcus was breathing hard, his mind spinning. But guilt immediately followed the exhilaration. "Vexera, your sister. I've been spending time with her too." "I know," she said simply, surprising him. "We share everything." The door to the lab opened, and Zaralyn entered, her expression unreadable as she observed them standing so close together. Zaralyn approached them slowly, and Marcus tensed, expecting anger or hurt. Instead, she reached out and took both their hands, forming a circle between the three of them. "We need to discuss something important," Zaralyn said, her voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of emotion. "Something we've never experienced before." They moved to Vexera's private quarters, sitting together on floor cushions in the Karelian style. The sisters exchanged glances, communicating in that wordless way twins often do. "On Karelia Prime," Zaralyn began, "we have different relationship structures than Earth. Some beings pair, others form triadic bonds, and some even larger family units. It's about compatibility of souls, not numbers. We've never been drawn to the same person before," Vexera added, her hand finding Marcus's. "But with you, we both feel it. The connection." Marcus's heart raced. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" "We're saying we don't want you to choose," Zaralyn said softly. "We want to explore this together, all three of us, if you're willing." The room fell silent as Marcus processed this. Everything he'd been taught about relationships on Earth seemed suddenly limited, constrained by arbitrary rules. Here, in the vastness of space, among beings who crossed galaxies, why should love be confined to conventional boundaries? I need to be honest, Marcus said finally. I've been torn apart these past days. Not because I was trying to choose, but because choosing felt wrong. When I'm with Zaralyn, I think of Vexera. When I'm with Vexera, I miss Zaralyn. And when I'm with both of you, you feel complete, the sisters said in unison. Marcus nodded, overwhelmed by the truth of it. Vexera moved closer, her scientific mind offering clarity. We're three individuals from two different species, attempting something unprecedented. It won't be easy. The best things rarely are, Zaralyn added, her diplomatic experience showing. But I believe we can make this work. They came together then, all three, in an embrace that was both tender and passionate. Marcus kissed Zaralyn while Vexera's arms wrapped around them both, then shifted to kiss Vexera while Zaralyn pressed against his back, her lips on his neck. It wasn't just physical, through their empathic touch, emotions flowed between them like electricity, creating a feedback loop of desire, affection, and something deeper that might have been love. Stay with us tonight, Vexera whispered against his mouth. Let us show you how this could be. 3 weeks later, the Peace Summit neared its conclusion. The Grand Assembly Hall buzzed with the energy of 100 different species, all gathering for the closing ceremonies. Marcus stood between Zaralyn and Vexera, no longer trying to hide their connection. People are staring, he murmured, noticing the curious glances from human and alien delegates alike. Let them, Zaralyn said, taking his hand publicly for the first time. We're making history. The first human Carillion triad, Vexera added, taking his other hand. Though hopefully not the last. Ambassador Harrison approached them, his expression carefully neutral. Mr. Chen, I've heard some interesting reports about your activities during the summit. Marcus straightened, ready to defend their relationship, but the ambassador surprised him with a smile. Congratulations, he said simply. This is exactly the kind of cultural bridge building we hoped would happen here. Though perhaps not quite so literally. As the closing ceremony began, Marcus reflected on how much had changed. He'd come here as a simple engineer, overwhelmed by the prospect of meeting alien life. Now he stood with two extraordinary women who had shown him that love, like the universe itself, was far more expansive than he'd ever imagined. I've been assigned to the new embassy on Carillia Prime, Zaralyn announced during the reception. They need someone who understands both cultures. And I've received funding for a quantum communication relay station there, Vexera added. We could revolutionize intergalactic communication. They both looked at Marcus expectantly. Funny thing, he said, pulling out his data pad. I just got approved to lead the engineering team that's designing Carillia's first human-compatible habitat dome. Looks like I'll be moving there for at least 3 years. The sisters exchanged delighted glances before pulling him into another embrace, not caring who watched. Later, in their shared quarters, as Earth grew smaller through the viewport and their ship headed toward the jump gate to Carillia Prime, Marcus marveled at the turn his life had taken. Any regrets? Zaralyn asked, curled against his left side. About that joke at the reception? Marcus laughed, pressing a kiss to her forehead while his other arm tightened around Vexera. It was the best mistake I ever made. It wasn't a mistake, Vexera said with certainty. It was destiny disguised as coincidence. As the jump gate activated, filling their cabin with swirling light, Marcus knew she was right. He'd said he was single as a joke, but the universe had taken him seriously, and given him something far better than he could have imagined. Not one love, but two, in a bond that transcended species, convention, and the very stars themselves. Their adventure was just beginning. The end.